persecution, and we were in exile, and we were clandestinely making manuscripts go through. And there was a sense of, well, we're going to denounce the regime, but we're also going to try to understand what's happening. We're going to try to create a world and understand that world there. And I think personally that the most important thing that literature really does, it doesn't create noble aspirations. It is noble in itself, but in fact, it often can tell us about the worst things in human beings. And that's not a bad thing for us to be able to do as well. The humans in all their flaws, to know these things. I think that literature becomes particularly important now, at moments of transition, because that's a moment when there's a great deal of confusion. And literature, I think, can help not to create more confusion, but to create a language which is common to the understanding of the complexity of the situation. The situations in these countries that are undergoing these uprisings and these changes is incredibly complex, with enormous amounts of different energies coming from different places. People have never had this experience before. And I think this is the moment when literature becomes crucial to the mind of the country. But that mind is not one mind. Okay. It is in fact made out of many different currents and energies. And I think that's where it really comes from.
Well, let's get Jack in on the line from Rome. Jack, thanks for your patience. What would you like to ask?
Okay, first of all, I want to congratulate you and AlJazeera because your coverage of the complete Middle East and North Africa made everything possible. Like, you changed history, your channel. You yourself have picked wonderful topics. These three beautiful people that you are interviewing, literature is right, but with their knowledge and their ability, they should be writing like editorials to newspapers, because everything is happening so fast that if they start and other writers start flooding the discussions, the letters to the editors, the articles to the newspapers on their thoughts of freedom, shortly and concise, published tomorrow, they're going to make a wonderful difference in the outcome of this event.
Well, Jack, you raise an interesting point, which I want to actually put to Ahdaf Souef, which comes actually in the form of an email too from Canada, from Sumaya Verji, who wrote in saying, "Who are the Mills, Locks and Marxes of today? Do modern intellectuals really mean anything to us anymore? Facebook pictures and Twitter lines are far better ways of informing ourselves about our governments than cracking open a book." So I wondered to what degree you feel that the new media has replaced the traditional way of communicating ideology.
Well, I think everything has its place. I mean, obviously the new media is tremendously important, is crucial, is critical, and is playing an immediate role in everything that is happening. I think people who work in the old media and who write novels or long books, there's a challenge, and if they have something to say, then they sit there and they try and craft it, and then it's up to the readers to decide whether they've got something to say that's new. But what I do know, and what I have seen over the last 3 weeks in Egypt, in Tahrir Square and elsewhere, is that there is a tremendous will to contribute, and a tremendous will to be the best one can and to do the best one can. And it's as if everybody is reaching out for whatever good thing they have and throwing it into the situation as though to tip the scales towards good. And that's what we all feel now, and each one will do what they can, with whatever media, whatever tool that they have.
Right. Hisham, just 20 seconds to go. A quick thought on the way new media has been so significant in this, in the whole system. Just a quick thought.
Oh, it's very significant. People think that this is the first time that Gaddafi bombed and shot his people indiscriminately. He did something very similar in the early 90s in Derna, but there were no mobile phones, no images being sent abroad, so nobody knew about that then. It wasn't even reported on in the Arab world. So yeah, very significant, I think.
Well, unfortunately, we have so little time. I want to thank you all for taking part in this very fascinating debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Remember, you can watch a podcast of the shows on iTunes. We're currently featuring our conversation about Pakistan's controversial blasphemy laws with leading figures from the region. On the next show, Revolution Through Music. Rock star and activist Yusuf Islam, formerly known as Cat Stevens, reveals the origins of his new song celebrating the popular uprisings in Egypt and beyond. We explore how musicians can get involved in the demand for democratic reforms across the Arab world. Be sure to tune in for that. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.
Malaysia has created the world's tallest self-installing wellhead platform and designed the largest and most advanced racecourses. Discover Malaysia's service excellence at the Malaysia Services Exhibition Abu Dhabi. Register with Martrade.
China has a growing elderly population, and as a consequence of its one-child system, there are fewer younger people to take care of them. It's a responsibility that often falls to the state. Private retirement homes offer an alternative, but independence comes at a price, financially and emotionally. Faces of China, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Currently, specialized anti-narcotics teams are going deep into the jungle to find and destroy illegal coca fields. This is San Pedro prison. It's home to 1,500 inmates.
The inmates steal from each other, and in many cases, they may fight to the death.
It's the Tinku rite in the city of Macha.
For most of the people here, the more blood, the better.
Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
As geeks take on dictators, bloggers turn dissidents, and social networks root for social justice, governments are going cyber, spying on their citizens, erecting firewalls like iron curtains, and closing down websites. We ask, is cyber-generated change virtual or real? Empire at this time on Al Jazeera.
Unpopular with some at home, untested overseas. The first year has not been easy for David Cameron and his coalition government. In conjunction with U2, Al Jazeera asks your questions to the British Prime Minister. World View, an interview with David Cameron at this time on Al Jazeera.
Anti-government protesters ride on tanks in the Libyan city of Misrata. Muammar Gaddafi appears to be losing control of western areas of the country. It's 0900 GMT, 11 a.m. in Libya. I'm Imran Garda. You're watching Al Jazeera with live and continuing coverage of the uprising in Libya. The wreckage of a Libyan warplane is discovered. The crew ejected after refusing to bomb protesters.
The suffering and bloodshed is outrageous, and it is unacceptable.
Barack Obama steps up the criticism of the crackdown in Libya. And a lucky survivor, a woman pulled out of the rubble of New Zealand's earthquake. 98 people have died, hundreds more are missing.